Exactly how stupid is Donald Trump? Okay, now that I have your attention, I'm not actually going to answer that question, at least not directly, but we will return to him in a moment. First, though, let's talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with limited competence in a particular area or domain overestimate their own abilities. It was first described by Justin Kruger and David Dunning in 1999. Now, this is sometimes extended in popular culture to state that stupid people think they're cleverer than they are, often much cleverer. However, Dunning and Kruger were referring to specific situations in which people express greater confidence in their abilities than their actual performance supports. People of low ability often give over-positive accounts of their abilities. They overestimate their competence. In fact, there's a negative correlation between their actual ability and their expressed confidence in their ability. The worse you are at it, the better you think you are. And this is not just about claiming that you're better, but actually believing it. And this has been demonstrated in study after study. Note that Dunning and Kruger are talking about competence and ability, not general intelligence. They're not saying that these people are stupid. What are some examples of this? Well, driving is one. People routinely overestimate their own competence as drivers, probably contributing to quite a lot of accidents, I would suspect. Singing? We all know people who think they're much better singers than they actually are. I think that comes down partly to the way we hear ourselves. Even our speaking voice sounds different to us when we hear it on the radio, for instance. Record your voice and play it back, and cringe. Having been doing these videos for a while now, I'm finally used to what my voice must sound like to other people, at least through a screen. So when it comes to singing, we probably don't sound the way we think we do. After all, when I sing an Adele song in my head, I sound just like her. Amazing. Most of us think we know more about politics and economics than we actually do, and religion too. And we're familiar with the adage that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Have you ever been at a dinner party, maybe with a particle physicist, an actual particle physicist present, where that friend who saw something once on YouTube thinks they can easily demonstrate the flaws in the standard model? Maybe you were that person. Okay, now I'm going to come to Donald Trump. It has to be done. If there was ever a more blatant and public demonstration of the Dunning-Kruger effect, point me towards it in the comments. Now, I know nothing about Donald Trump's IQ. For all I know, he might be off the scale. Not sure which end of the scale, but This is not about intelligence per se, so much as ignorance. Knowledge and intelligence are not the same thing. I'm talking about ignorance concerning a topic and ignorance concerning one's own ignorance. There are an extraordinary number of areas in which Donald Trump time and time again reveals his ignorance of the field, and his total ignorance of his ignorance. His self-confidence when making the most blatantly ridiculous statements is astonishing. Oh, to have such blissful ignorance of one's own ignorance. Has there ever been anyone, certainly any public figure, who has had such a high opinion of their knowledge in such a broad range of areas and yet demonstrated in each and every one of these the most profound ignorance? Again, I emphasize that this is not necessarily about intelligence. Maybe he's just one of the laziest people on the planet. He can't be bothered to actually learn anything. From all accounts, he would never read any of the daily briefs with which he was presented when he was president. Why bother learning any actual facts when you can just make them up? It saves so much time and effort. And he clearly believes he knows better than all the experts in anything anyway. They've wasted all those years studying and carrying out research when they could have just been munching on a hamburger and generating all this knowledge from within. He's probably never had to read anything or learn anything anyway. There were always shortcuts. Of course, his ignorance has not only left him incapable of making informed decisions about anything, it's also left him incapable of identifying competent people who might advise him. Firstly, of course, because he believes he's more competent than any of them anyway. But secondly, he is unable to identify competence. He has no idea what it looks like. And this man was once the President of the United States and may well become that again.